It is an MREA Monday, and we're so glad that you're here and thankful that you're going on this journey with us throughout the rest of the year, because we want to make sure that you get the foundational models. What we have recognized is that today's market is about doing the basics the best. And those of you who do the basics the best are the ones who are going to succeed at an elite level. And so we've been uncovering the basics over the last few weeks. It's week number 9 of an MREA Monday, and the ninth thing we want to look at is the lead generation model. Now, last week we covered the economic model, which says, hey, you want to make X amount of dollars? Then you've got to sell this many houses. If you want to sell this many houses, you need this many listings and buyers. If you want this many listings and buyers, you got to go on this many appointments. And we spent an entire week talking about knowing those numbers and those conversion rates. Well, today we shift focus a little bit and go, wait a minute. So you say you want to sell X number of homes and make X amount of money. Do you have enough people in your world to be able to do that? That's what the lead generation model is about. It says on page 133, once you know how many appointments you must have, you now have to generate the leads necessary to generate the appointments. And that's where your lead generation model comes in. And so we're going to use this to help you unpack it and help you gain mind share. But let's talk a little bit about mind share. You know, the question that we've got to think about is, when people think of real estate, do they think of you? And they give an example in MREA, page 133, from a book called Positioning: The Battle of the Mind. And it says that we don't have room to remember all sorts of things. And they use various studies of potato chips and stuff like that, where we can remember only so many brands. And if you remember back in the day in Bold, we used to do that exercise with name a toothpaste and name a tissue and name a shoe, and you're only going to remember a couple of brands. And that's the case for real estate agents too. It says here, chances are, if the average person can't name more than 7 brands of potato chips, which seems high to me, they can't possibly name more than 2 or 3 real estate agents in their market. In other words, you've got to do the work to make sure that you are the one they remember. Now, here's what I believe to be true about your database. 90 to 95% of the people in your database do not need you at all this year. They have no real estate need whatsoever. And 5 to 10% do. And most real estate agents wake up every morning going, how do I find the 5 or 10% who need me? And I'm suggesting that you wake up every morning and instead ask the question, how do I connect with the 90 to 95% who don't? How do I stay in front of the 90 to 95% of the people who don't need me? So when they do need me, they call me. They think of me. Now, put in the chat, have you ever had a come list me call where someone reaches out to you, sends you a text, sends you an email, calls you up and says, hey, we need to sell our house. Can you come list it? Orly had 5 last week. How do you have that happen? Well, you have that happen because you were with them and around them and in front of them when they didn't need you. So that when they did need you, when they moved from I don't need you to I do need you, it wasn't even a thought. They just said, only Orly, and called. So I want you to talk about that. Here's the thing I believe to be true. I don't believe you can over-communicate with your database. I think it's impossible to over-communicate with people. In other words, you cannot reach out to them too much. You cannot add too much value. It's impossible. So I think you got to do a weekly newsletter for 52 touches. You got to call them once a quarter. You got to do an event of some kind once a quarter. That's the purpose of the call, to invite them. You create 5 or 6 touches around the event. And then if you just get up and run your plays and you stay in front of them, you stay in front of them. And when you stay in front of them, when they move from I don't need you to I do need you, you're the one they're going to talk to. Now, we'll spend most of this week going at a deeper level on this, but let's just scratch the surface and start us off. And Orly, you go front of the line. Sorry, Dean, because she got 5 just list me's last week. So Orly, what's on your mind? Good morning.
Oh, yeah, I had a fabulous week last week, and we're actually launching 3 new listings this week. But it's about, and I've said it before, it's about being ubiquitous. When you do the lead gen and layered marketing, and they see you everywhere, this is who they call. In fact, I missed an opportunity, as I said on the Facebook group, where I found out last minute that the first food truck event this past Saturday was being hosted right in my parking lot in front of my office, and I didn't get a table. And I said, oh my God, I missed the opportunity, but I'm helping my daughter move that day anyway. So at this point in my career, oh well, let me plan for next year. Not too big a deal. But I showed up for the food truck with my only Orly t-shirt, walked around, greeted my past clients that were there, saw people that said, oh, I know you. So I'm my own brand. I'm my own billboard when you're walking around. And all I had to do was show my face. And the poor realtor that spent probably $1,000 with her tent and her branded booth and doing cotton candy, there was hardly anybody there. I did a video, so I got more social media attention than the realtor that paid that $1,000. I really felt bad, but you're ubiquitous. And the come list me calls that I got was somebody that was going to list a year ago, and then her husband needed surgery. So all of a sudden, I'm ready to go. 2 of them were offered orphan buyers on my VIP program, getting divorced. Both of them coincidentally bought 4 years ago. Never met them, never went to the closing. But who's their realtor? The realtor that's, and as they said, you're the queen of Ringwood. We've seen you everywhere since we moved here. We need to sell our house. So when you're everywhere and you do the things that you love doing, you're the brand. I've got name recognition from 2-year-olds to 92-year-olds. All you need to do is show up.
That's the answer. Thank you, Orly. Appreciate it. Hey, Tammy, we don't hear from you very often. You go next. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. So I am a firm believer in doing the basics, and that's what I'm doing in the background. And the basic of do the database twice is a winner for me. My goal this year has been to do it, and I'm on the 3rd quarter of accomplishing it every week. And I left for vacation last week. On Monday, came back to a voicemail from a client, a previous, helped them buy twice and sell once. And now I'm going to get to sell a second time, because she said, you're the only person that I think of. And she never answers my calls, but she gets a text, she gets a postcard every month, and she gets an email every month. And so this week I get to return from vacation and have a listing appointment with her.
Let's go. Let's get it done. Debbie Orr, good morning.
Good morning to you. I have said over and over again this summer, my database saved my life this year, because we have been so consumed with teaching and preparing agents for the shift in practice this year that it's taken a tremendous amount of time. And my database has just come to me. It's been just a fabulous thing to watch. I hear people say 2 things. Oh, 3 times a month? That's too much. I could never touch they'll unsubscribe. No, they don't. Send them something that's interesting. Send them something that's useful. And then the other thing is, oh, I don't want to send that. That doesn't represent me. It doesn't really matter. Just stay in touch. And finally, Orly, you were fabulous on Facebook. Fabulous, fabulous. I saw that. I loved it. Even when you don't feel like going out and doing a video, do it. There's no magic. Just do it.
It's a true story,
Thank you.
Debbie. Yeah, you got it. I appreciate it. It's a true story. What you're saying reminded me that I want to remind you that on Wednesday's Inspire Summit, which I imagine nearly everybody on this call is participating in, but if you're not, you should probably sign up. I'll drop the link in the chat here. But Wednesday, we're doing a couple of things. One is a whole database like communication system panel. So I've got 3 agents that are going to walk through what they're doing to stay in front of their database, because, you know, Debbie, I want you to be in front of them in a way that's comfortable for you, that works for you, using a strategy that's in alignment with who you are. And so we're interviewing 3 agents on that. Another one is people do struggle with some sort of weekly communication through email. I think it's necessary. I really do. I think that if you're doing once a month, that's not enough to stay in front of them. And the 2 reasons why we do once a month is because either A, we don't know what to put in it that's of value, or B, we have this fear they're going to unsubscribe. But truth is, if you're not emailing them, you're effectively unsubscribing everybody. So I think we've got to do a weekly email. So we're doing a session on that with Mary Cheatham King, because she made $4 million last year selling houses. And she's going to walk through her weekly newsletter system, how to amplify it with video so that you can truly stay in front of your database in a way that connects with them. So when they move from not needing you to needing you, you're it. So I'm putting the link for the Inspire Summit in the chat. And it's on Wednesday all day long. If you can't be on it live, don't worry, we're recording it and we'll give you the recordings. And then each panel comes with a list of best practices so that you can print that out and follow the steps. And we'll have various other tools as well. But Wednesday's Inspire Summit really should be mandatory watching for everybody on the call, because you're on here So you're into growth and learning, right? You might as well take the summit too. All right, let's get a couple of more in. I'm going to go up to, where did he go? He's not here. Paul Corey had his hand up, but it's down now. Tulio, you're in the summit. You're one of our people we're interviewing. You go next, Tulio. Good morning.
Thank you, James. There's a group of people I think a lot of us forget about or skip during our lead gen, and it's the people that we didn't get. The buyer presentation that we gave that chose another agent, or a seller who chose another agent. And I have gotten more intentional about staying in touch with those people too. Just looking at the, I don't even know what the statistic is, but how poor most agents are of staying in touch with people. Last Friday, I went out to lunch with a young fella that's in the military, he's in the Space Force. And I stayed in touch with him better than his own agent, that he forgot who his old agent was. We went out to lunch together and had a picture together. And he's like, oh my gosh, because you have stayed in touch with me for the last 4 years so much, you have become my agent in my mind. So I just think that when you get to those people in your database that didn't choose you, keep inviting them to your client appreciation events. Stay in touch with them, bring them the new information. They could be a huge percentage of business that we just instinctively don't go after.
Yeah, no doubt, Tulio. It's about staying in their mind. They only got room for 2. I mean, the data shows us that the most that they'll even interview, if they're interviewing, is 2, maybe 3. And yet 75 to 80% of the business goes to the first one they think of. So be that one. And the only way you can do it is by being in front of them. All right, Paul Corey, what you got? Good morning.
Good morning. Sorry, my phone died. Lee made a statement on early birds this morning, which was, all right, now it's time to do the work. And I think that's a lot will listen, like you always use this infotainment statement. And so I think if you treat it like a marathon and not a sprint, like every day we do the same boring thing. And that's why we do get a come list we call, because it's not by surprise, it's just by, maybe design. And I guess it is boring, but just keep doing the same thing every day. We do track, and we're going to talk about that this week on the summit call. But it's really just every day is the same freaking thing, and we don't skip days. That's all I wanted, because this is from the beginning of the call, and it was on the top of my mind.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up, and I'm excited to interview you on Wednesday as part of the Inspire Summit as well. Jess Starr, I'm interviewing you on Wednesday. Good morning.
Good morning, friend. Yeah, I think this is so important. And I actually am exactly like Orly in what we do. If you guys are going to your kids' baseball games, or there's a charity event, if your branding, your team name, your personal name is not on a sign or a flyer supporting the event while you're also there, and you're not wearing, a piece of material that might, represent what you do, people just will automatically know. They'll come up to you if you're present within your community. And it's really important. One of the things I've been doing with my coach is tracking our percentage of business. And we track it every single month in Simsbury. That's our main book. But obviously we do a large territory in Connecticut. So we track Hartford County, we track whatever. And it's interesting to see. Last year we closed in Simsbury with 28% of the business for the town. And this year we trended down only because we had a flat month in August. We were higher, but we're at about 21% year to date for Simsbury. So, we got to pick it up there, and we know where we are in Hartford County, but we track month by month to know where we are percentage of business wise. So it's kind of fun to see that too, to go, okay, well, what happened? What activities did we not do this time? Did we change something? Are we not at all the baseball games? Are we not going to the charity events? Are we not hosting events as much? Did our mailers go down? Like, track and have a return on your investment of time, number one, and on the things you're paying for too. So it's really important.
Do what Jess says. She has a quarter of the business in her town. A quarter of the business.
That's pretty good.
That's yeah. A quarter of the business in one town is done by one group of agents. Jess's team. How do you do that? She just told you. So if you're sitting there going, I don't want to bother people, that's fine. Then don't get a quarter of the business in your town. Let somebody else get it. That's cool, bro.
It's just, James, you know what? Just showing up and being present, like Orly said, You can have all the fanfare, you can have all the doodads and who's he what's it's and whatever else, but in the end, if people don't know you care, like if my clients call me and ask me to support their sports team, my answer is just yes. I don't have to do a lot of marketing because I support all the sports teams. I support the golf tournaments. I ask, what can I do for donation? How can I show up? It's not, no, let me think about it. It wasn't in the budget. It's okay. Well, you guys have supported me. Let me support you.
That's it. And you get a quarter of the business. Brittany, you get the last one. Sorry, Christy, Frank, and Dean. Go ahead, Brittany.
Hi. So what I wanted to say is the offense. Sometimes like when we talk to people and we make connections and they don't use you or they have a listing and they're like, you know what? I'm just gonna rent it out. We kind of X them out. But I had a guy that was in my sphere that did that to me, and he was like, "Well, I'm not gonna sell it. I'm just gonna rent it." I'm like, "Okay, cool." We stayed in touch. He then referred me to his business partner, which allowed me to close my largest transaction to date. And then he called me like 3 weeks ago with the come listen. And so if we proceed with they're not going to want to use me or they got somebody else and we don't let go of the offense, we'll never get the business.
Yep.
So letting go of the offense out of your heart. And sorry, long-winded. My first day back in the gym.
Brittany's
I'm
getting
trying to
after it this morning. I'm so proud of you, but you just gave us the lesson. Don't take people out. Don't take people out of the database. Well, there's two ways you take someone out of the database. Like you literally remove them, or B, you just don't ever reach out to them. But keep them in. They get to decide when they do business with you and when they don't. And the only way they can decide is if you're in front of them on a regular basis. Now, tomorrow, we'll talk a little bit about playing the numbers game around what that looks like, how quality comes from quantity, and we'll chunk it down a little bit more. How many contacts is it? What do some of those contacts look like? But the truth is that the size of your business is in direct proportion to the size of your database and how often you communicate with it. And if you are under communicating with the database, you're just not going to get the business that you want. So we'll get after it tomorrow. Thank you for choosing to be here today. I hope it was of value. I'm looking forward to the Inspire Summit on Wednesday. That's going to be awesome. So I hope you'll be with us for that. You got your inspiration. Go put in the perspiration. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, James.